Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's episode of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys making some time out of your day to spend with me and watch the video. Always grateful for that, and never ever take you guys for granted that spend your time here on Intuitive Angling, so thank you very much. Guys, today we're going to be talking about July bass fishing, and I want to give you 3 techniques that you can use in shallow water and deep water both. These are going to be really good all through the month of July. Probably some of my favorite ways to catch them, and they work in a diversity of different water conditions. So we're going to show you what that is in today's video. Also, guys, you may have heard me talk about it before we get started. I just want to let everybody know that we've started our Fish the Moment lake map breakdowns up again at fishthemoment.com. And if you guys are interested in getting some, these are lake map breakdowns that I built for Fish the Moment that have lakes all across the country. We got 4 seasons that you can pick, whatever season you want to go. That gives you 40 good GPS waypoints that you can download straight to your electronic unit, and tips and advice on how to fish those areas. And you can duplicate that and figure out some other good areas yourself. But it's a really good resource to learn more about your favorite lake or a lake you've never been on. So I'll put that lake map breakdown link in the description of the video. I really appreciate that. Okay guys, we're getting into the tough time of the year to fish. July and August and early September are without a doubt the toughest months to fish. We talked about this a little bit before in the channel, why there's a lot of stuff going on. You have thermoclines starting to form in July. You got fish scattering out. You got fish in shallow water, mid depths, and deep water. You got fish suspended. You got fish on the bottom. There's just a lot going on. So I'm really going to identify 3 different techniques that you can use if you want to fish offshore deeper or shallow in today's video. And all these techniques that I'm talking about, guys, you could do them with just 2D sonar and a flasher if you wanted to. You don't need to have live scope or anything to catch them offshore the way I'm going to show you. Okay guys, first of all, let's talk about the deep water applications. I'm going to give you my 3 favorite deep water lures depending upon the situation. Now, probably one of my favorite deep water lures for the summertime is a big hair jig, just a big white hair jig like this. A lot of people don't fish this. Guys, this is a killer in the month of July. It'll catch fish offshore in deeper water when nothing else will. There's a couple different things on this, how you need to fish this. This is sort of unique. You don't just throw it out there and hop it along the bottom. The way that you want to fish this thing, and this was sort of developed by a lot of guys on the TVA lakes years ago, but it also works in man-made impoundments. I've caught fish here in Table Rock Lake on it, Grand Lake. You throw it out there on whatever structure you're fishing, could be a main lake point or ledge or anything like that. Let it hit the bottom and then reel it real fast for like 5 or 6 cranks, and the thing will come straight up like that, and then it'll fall down like that. And reel it up again 4 or 5 feet off the bottom. You want to get the thing 4 to 5 feet off the bottom to create a reaction strike. And anytime that I'm fishing water depths that are over 15 feet, like my favorite depth for the hair jig is say 15 to 30 feet. Really good way to catch them with that. Now the other lure that you can all 3 of these lures I'm talking about for offshore, you can use on the same spots, again on your ledges, your drop offs, your points. The next one, guys, is a big spoon. Now, one of the things about the spoon is, you've seen those big giant spoons. I don't like those big giant ones. I like about a 5 or 6 inch spoon like this. It seems like it'll catch big ones and it'll catch a lot of fish. The spoon is the same deal, guys. You throw it out there on your structure and just snap it off the bottom. You want to try to snap this thing 5 or 6 feet off the bottom. I'm sorry about that, guys. I got some guys with the backhoe here working on some lines out in the yard. Let me close the garage here. But anyway, you want to snap this thing off the bottom, and again, to create a reaction strike. That's the whole thing about it. It's like you're trying to trigger that fish that's down there. It's not aggressive. Doesn't want to feed. And the spoon and the big jig are two of the best reaction bait lures that you can possibly throw. And also, guys, all of these lures here, I'll link every lure, the spoon and the hair jig, in my Tackle Warehouse link in the description of the video if you guys want to get some of them. It's a really good way to support the channel by using that link, so I really appreciate that. Okay, and the final one, guys, this is for a little bit more subtle. This is for a deal where if the fish are feeding actively, or it's a good mop-up lure, is a big 10-inch worm, like this Zoom Old Monster 10-inch worm. A 10-inch worm fished on a 5/16 ounce jig head, not jig head, 5/16 ounce to 3/8 ounce slip sinker is a great way to catch them in the summer. It's probably the most consistent July lure that you can fish on deep water is a big worm. So I do like a little bit heavier sinker, same type of deal. You can cover more deep water quickly with it, and you can, you know, work it and has a faster fall. But the hair jig and the spoon and the big worm are your 3 go-to baits for catching fish offshore in the summertime. Now for shallow water, if you guys don't like fishing deep water, you know, you got to do what you got to do. But if you're a shallow water angler and you want to concentrate on that, I got 3 different techniques and lures for that. The first one is the same lure we talked about for the deep water, the old monster worm. Guys, the old monster worm, when you're fishing shallow cover, specifically around any type of docks or wood, this is one of my favorite lures to use in the summertime. My 2 favorite colors is, you know, I like some type of a June bug and I like the red shad. It seems like these work the best, especially if you got water visibility of, you know, in that 1.5 to 3 foot range. That's what I like to have for the big worm. And a little bit different on this, on the deep water, I'm using the heavier sinkers, but in the shallow water, I'm using usually a 3/16 or a 1/4 ounce. I want a little bit slower fall. And probably if you gave me my favorite way to catch bass in the summer shallow above anything else, is fishing boat docks with a big worm like this. Put you on a 3/16 ounce sinker, 17, 20 pound test, Seaguar and Vizex line, and just pitch and flip around the shade of those docks. If you got piling docks, try to get that worm back up underneath the pilings. If you got floating docks, try to get it by the walkways, underneath the walkways, and pay attention if there's any brush in the water. But that big worm will catch them really good in the summertime. Right along those type of lines, my second favorite lure for the month of July is a full-size black and blue jig. This is black and blue, 5/8 ounce with a Zoom super chunk on it. And a big jig, guys, in the summertime will generate a reaction strike, a big heavy jig. And what I'm fishing with this, again, is any shallow water cover. It just depends what you have. If you got a lake that has lily pads and cattails, great lure for that. If you got docks, you can catch them on docks. If you got lay down trees or shallow grass, whatever cover is available. And another thing that makes a big jig a little bit more versatile in July is you can pitch it around that shallow cover, and you can also swim it. So I'll take this same jig, sometimes I'll swim it by the cover and drop it and kill it. Sometimes I'll pitch it in the middle of it. But if you have water visibility that's a little bit dirtier, in order for the big jig to work in July, you got to have stained water. So I like my water visibility around that, you know, 8-inch to 12-inch zone. Dirty water, you're going to catch some good ones on this on the big dark jig. And finally, guys, probably my most consistent as far as just catching numbers of fish and getting lots of bites in the month of July is a small crankbait. My favorite, you've heard me talk about this over and over, the Megabass Super Z2. This is my #1 shallow small crankbait for summertime fishing. And I fish it, same type of deal, around any shallow cover. The thing about the crankbait, it'll work around rocks when the other stuff won't. So I'll crank this around any shallow rock I got, channel banks, riprap banks. It comes through cover real good, like throwing it around lay down trees, around the corners of docks, just anywhere you think there's a bass in shallow water, especially if you have water visibility of under about 2.5 feet. It's not gonna work that great, guys, if you have water visibility of over about 2.5 feet. So ideally, I like that water visibility for the crankbait about 1 to 2 foot in that zone. But anyway, guys, those are my workhorses for the next month. You know, when I'm fishing, if I'm fishing offshore, it's going to be the hair jig, the spoon, and the big worm. Shallow, it's going to be the big jig, the big worm, and the small crankbait. And it's been real consistent for me for many, many years now. So hope it works for you guys too. We'll talk later.